This past year, the COVID-19 pandemic has taken so many lives. Within these astonishing numbers includes my dad's best friend and my mailman. The US government has decided that they need to take these matters into their own hands, which is great. They established mask mandates, social distancing rules. Some states have even completely shut down to limit the number of lives lost to the pandemic. But if the US government decides that a pandemic is a good enough reason to control its people's health, why does it not take our health and safety into consideration when there's not a pandemic? Universal health care should be implemented into the United States because of complications with company-provided health care, current health care's lack of benefits, and universal health care's ability to benefit our nation. To better understand universal health care, let's take a look at the definition. A system that provides quality medical services to all citizens. Federal government offers it to anyone, regardless of their ability to pay. This was according to an article posted on The Balance in March of 2020 by Kimberly Amedeo, an economic analyst and business strategist. The first reason that universal health care should be implemented into the United States is that there are often complications with company-provided health care, and it is not reliable for all people. A study published by the U.S. Census Bureau in 2018 by Edward R. Burchick and others found that 67.2% of Americans are covered by health insurance provided by an employer. Now, it's great that so many people do have access to health care, but there are complications with it. First is that there is a certain percentage of people that do not get covered by an employer. And this is an issue because then they have to pay even more for other health insurance companies, as well as the fact that some people just don't have the money for health insurance, and so they don't have it at all. And so when they do get sick, they have to pay out of pocket, which puts them in even worse debt. Another complication with company-provided health care is that if a person gets fired and then they get sick, they no longer have health insurance to help them pay for whatever medical expenses they have. In addition, if a person gets too sick or has, some big illness or surgery that they need come up, they most likely will not get that coverage from their employer anymore. The second issue with not having universal health care is that we invest so much to it, but it doesn't do much. So an article published titled The U.S. Healthcare from a Global Perspective, 2019, Higher Spending, Worse Outcomes, by Rusa Titkanen, published to the Commonwealth Fund in 2020 in January, says the U.S. spends more on healthcare as a share of the economy, yet has the lowest life expectancy and highest suicide rates. So there's two issues with this. One, having the lowest life expectancy, but spending the most on healthcare is a huge issue. If we spend so much, why is our life expectancy so low? That just doesn't add up. The other thing is that we have the highest suicide rates, which is awful considering healthcare should also cover mental health issues. If a person is depressed, they should be able to use healthcare to pay for a therapist or medication to help cover that. Also, if we invest so much into healthcare, why would we put it towards private companies? We should be investing that money instead into the government, so then the government can put it back towards its citizens with universal healthcare. The last point I would like to make is that universal healthcare will improve our nation's health. So according to a journal article titled, "Does Progress Towards Universal Healthcare Improve Population Health?" by Rodrigo Moreno and Peter C. Smith, published in September of 2012, says, "Evidence suggests that broader health coverage generally leads to better access to necessary care and improved population health, particularly for poor people." If poor people are right now not getting the proper coverage that they need for any sort of medical expense, why would we not help them as a nation that cares about its people? Poor people are still part of the country and they are still citizens. Just because they have a lower income does not mean that they should be exempt from having health care. And improve population health. If we are spending so much, why not put it to health care, which will improve people's health rather than, again, like I said before, having a lower life expectancy and higher suicide rates. It's just common sense. So in conclusion, universal health care in the United States should be implemented because it helps with the complications caused by company-provided health care, as well as, the lack of proper coverage that people can get, and universal health care just provides better health for people. Now, I understand that universal health care is a highly debated issue in the United States, but it is very important, and our nation is so polarized with universal healthcare being a very supported idea on one side of the political spectrum, and being very criticized on the other side of the political spectrum. But we need to come together as a nation and understand the benefits of universal health care so that our people can be better supported and that our citizens can have better health.